Welcome to the Urban Wall Street Project. I'm your host, Earl Christian III, and today I have another dynamic gentleman in the studio with me and making some amazing things happen here in the city of New York, working with the New York Urban League young professionals, and he's definitely involved in the real estate arena. So we're going to talk about, the civic engagement, how you can give back to your community, the importance and the purpose and the reason behind us being one to give back and rebuild our communities, and then talk about how you can capitalize when the real estate ventures start coming into your communities. Without further ado, Mr. Sidney Joyner, how are you, brother?
Pretty good in yourself. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Definitely a treat, man.
Thank you for sure. So we've been talking, beforehand. I said, listen, we're going to pause for a minute, get the intro, we're going to come right back.
Keep it rolling.
So I love the topic, civic engagement, man, because what the Urban Wall Street Project is all about is engaging individuals and wanting to engage the civilians to be more civil and recognize their civic duty and their purpose to their community. So I just love their whole concept. Civic engagement, break it down for me, or my audience, layman.
Civic engagement is just taking ownership in your community for everyday affairs, for business affairs, for social affairs, just taking ownership in your community and being a part of it. And that ranges from picking up litter, to participating on school boards, to voting, to going down and fighting fines and tax assessments. It ranges, but it's all about being a part of the community.
Definitely.
Taking ownership.
Now I want to talk about it because we have so many young people that want to be entrepreneurs, they want to be in professional arenas, and we have the New York Urban League young professionals. And some people might not even, not even know. Let the people know who we are.
Well, the New York Urban League Young Professionals is not to say a youth group, but it's a professional development group, and we serve as a subsidiary of the New York Urban League, which is the affiliate of the National Urban League. So it's about giving back to communities and developing leaders. So the arm from 21 to 40 is the young professionals, and we serve in giving back to communities and developing leaders for future leadership roles throughout the community and also in corporate America and so forth, and also in the non-for-profit world. So this particular group, like I said, focuses on 21 to 40, and we encourage young people to get involved and to help them develop the skills on all levels: social, community service, civics, fundraising. You get a wealth of information, and to help you build as an individual, to kind of make you the composite that you want to be.
Now, is there, do you have is there a membership requirement? How can you become part of it?
That's a good question. That's a good question because, often we think about, daunting membership fees, but the one membership fee is, that we do have is to be financial, which is $75 a year. It's not based upon your scholastic aptitude and your achievement and college status or so forth like that. We have people who are entrepreneurs, who are employees, and people who are professionals in their fields. So it ranges. So it's very open to everyone, but the main thing is a commitment to your community and being involved and being a positive force in your community. That's one of the main purposes, and also the commitment.
Now, and I definitely commend you for that. We're going to talk about the other department that you're a chair of, the committee, the economics and
Civics and Economics Committee.
Committee chair. But I want to talk about just the whole passion. Before we get just the passion that you have for civic engagement and for reaching out and educating individuals on how to be more responsible and accountable for their communities and whatnot. When did that passion originate for you, brother?
I think it started out very early when I was given the opportunity to hand out flyers for assemblyman when I was young, like I don't know, between 12 and 14, to hand out flyers and actually understand what it was to be a part of the system, but just on a very basic level. To say, listen, as a young kid, I can hand out flyers and make people aware of some of the issues that are going on in their community. So I got an opportunity to do that, and I liked it. So I just always continued on that platform and just being involved. And I've also gone on to tutor children in reading from the grade school grades, and it's been very rewarding, and I kept it going with the Urban League. So
definitely.
Yeah.
So as an educator, definitely with an educator working with kids and working with youth, what's some of the most, I won't say grave, because there's a lot of issues, but some of the, if you could, three issues that we definitely need to address to really help the 18, I'm gonna say 18 to 25, to really help them get focused and understand, why they need to be a part of urban leagues and why they need to be a part of young professional entities in whatever capacity it may be.
Right. Well, one of the things that I think about is that when I look at the kids and I see what's going on with the youth today, I think about, when I talk to them, it's about your commitment to being a better person. You're not always going to be in this age group, and you're not always going to have the lack of facilities to move to the next level. If you don't decide to make that commitment now to getting those the expertise that you need to build, you won't have it. You'll leave yourself in a position where you're lost and you're still trying to understand the system and you're outside of the loop of everybody being involved and moving ahead and creating lives and doing a lot of things.
Definitely.
So my other thing is education. The importance of education has to be reinserted into our community. And the third thing that I would say is that self-image. I think there's a disconnect with the children today about their self-image and how they feel about that. Like when I grew up, it was important to look your best and not just ascribe to just looking disheveled or looking like nobody cared about you.
Right.
So now I see that, you know, maybe it's part of the youth rebelling and trying to create an area of their own, but I still see that's a lack of it's also a lack of respect of yourself. When I grew up, it was about representing your family also.
Right, definitely, definitely. Right. Now, being the chair of the Civics and Economics Committee with the New York Urban League Young Professionals, is that New York Urban League or the Young Professionals as well? Or that's the chair for the Urban League? You know,
it's for the New York Urban League Young Professionals, which is the affiliate of the National Urban League, which serves as the parent organization for the national.
And now you've been in that capacity since 2003, about 6 years?
No, I've been involved with well, our chapter started up in about 2003.
Okay, your chapter.
So I've been involved with the committees as soon as it started, and I've served as a under chairman, and now I've been in this position probably about a year and a half or so.
Okay. Yeah. So now, you know, for my people watching, we're going to talk about it now. Real estate. I know you said you get into real estate. When you speak to young people, and you know, a lot of folks, you know, when I talk to people, everybody wants to get wealthy. If you ever ask, who wants to get rich? Everybody wants to get rich.
Everybody wants to get
rich.
Well,
what do you want to do? I'm on real estate. If I hit the lotto, I own real estate. So we know that whether you're from an affluent environment or a non-affluent environment, you're financially literate or you're not, everyone seems to know that real estate is what you would do with money if you came into it. Is there, I guess to say, projects in the works that couple the real estate arena and education for people in the Young Professionals Urban League? Well,
as part of our programming, we offer a financial literacy series throughout the year. Okay. And one of our mainstay programs has been the real estate seminar, which gives our membership and those from the public who decide to come and who are open to an idea about what's going on in the real estate world and also the tri-state area. And we host that with about a four-person panelist type setup. And we give them a place to interact with these individuals also and to learn, and everybody has a chance to give their expertise. Like you have people who are attorneys in the business, you have people who are investors in the business. We've had foreclosure experts, bank officials, a number of people, and we're going to continue on with that coming up. And it gives them a chance to understand what's really going on. We try to peel back the onion as much as possible to help people understand what's going on in the New York City real estate market and abroad. So you asked about my business. One of the things that I believe in is that education. People say they want to get into this business, they want to get wealthy. Of course, a lot of fortunes have been made in real estate, but the main thing is getting education. Yes. Because you know you can be $1 short a day late, but you need education in order to build something in this business. So I stress that a lot. You know, people ask me, I got a few dollars and I want to go purchase something. Well, first you should get education. Right. You know, before you make a wrong move, which we see a lot of people doing in terms of mortgages, in terms of decisions that they do make, and the people that they do business with. My last thing I'll just say is that I always preach this, is that when you go to look at real estate, you need to have a team with you. You need to have an accountant, you need to have an attorney, you need to have a financial advisor, and these are the people that you put together for your team to represent your interests, and that that serve as a checks and balance system with you. And I think that's one of the most important things. Sometimes we try to shoot off by ourselves because we're determined to do something, but if we're not equipped in the right way, we only fall back to hurt ourselves. Right, and I think that definitely leads to my next question. You may have answered it, but you know, entertain me still. What do you think? You know, with that said, some of the biggest misconceptions that individuals have when with the real estate arena? Great question. One of the misconceptions is that it's fast money. Right. You know, I serve in capacity as a vice president for a company where we do brokerage, which is the sale of leasing of property, and we also do management, and along other things. That's one of the greatest things that I run into, is that people think that this is fast money. You know, in the commercial world, it's a little different from the residential, where, you know, your deals can go 90 days or something like that. In the commercial world, the deal can go for years or a year before you see a dollar. So, you know, you have to understand, again, we go back to education, but that's one of the greatest misconceptions, is that it's fast money. And it's easy money, because you have to understand, you're buying into an asset that it will take time to actually work with or to actually derive income from, depending upon what you invest in. Right. So, and people don't always talk about the pitfalls. I mean, you know, you're dealing with tenants, even in the commercial aspect, tenants that don't pay. Right. You're dealing with the legal arena, which can, you know, tie you up for long, for astronomical time, if you haven't, you know, read the right contract, don't have the right representation for you. Right. So it can be a deep pit. if you're not prepared to get into it. But I just tell people to take a small steps at a time.
And definitely, and like you said, education is key. And I know I did a show once back. It was called Real Estate. It's home ownership 101.
Right.
Just the basics. Just the layman person. They don't have any idea. They watch it, but they just want everybody's American dream. But they think the American dream. I think the dream is to own a home, not just American. Because if you're from Bulgaria and you've been living in the slums, you want to own a home.
That's right.
You're not American, so
that's
it's
right.
just the dream to be a home owner. With home ownership, there comes financial literacy. When did you become knowledgeable to the concept or the reality that financial literacy is what fuels real estate deals and creates wealth?
Right. Well, I started off early, but I have to be candid with you. I started out early, but when I purchased my first home was in 1995. I guess I was 25 years old. And I was one of those persons who shot off from the hip. I did my reading and I thought I knew everything. And I didn't get the best deal. I didn't get a bad deal, but I didn't get the best deal because I didn't have adequate representation. So, it goes back to education. But I took an initiative early on when I was younger to understand the game and know that I wanted to get into it and to just to hang around people who did it. We talked about earlier, what can young people do? One of the greatest things a young person can do right now is you have the commodity of time. So you don't just look to get paid, just look to volunteer your time. If you volunteer your time in an entity that you can help someone, you gain so much in terms of knowledge without any cost to you, but just a matter of time, and that's what you do have.
Exactly. So, and I'm glad you said that, because that's the one question I want to ask you. And I tell the people that your most valuable commodity is your time. It's not your clothes, it's not the car, it's the time, because you can't make that up. People say, oh, I can make it up. You can't make up time. I said, whatever you don't get done, today's we're in March. Whatever you didn't get done in March of 2009, you can never, ever, ever get done in March of 2009. You can get it done in March.
Yes.
But not of 2009.
That's right.
So you can't ever make up time.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So when people say, oh, I got to make up time, how do you respond to when people think that they have time? A lot of people don't have time to make it up.
It's a fallacy, because all you're going to do is just, really stress yourself out in the future trying to accomplish things that you didn't take the initiative to do in the past. So it just creates a more befuddled mind and a more stressful atmosphere for you to work in. The best way to do it is just plan ahead. You understand that you want to accomplish something in June, and we're in September.
Right.
You got some time to work with, but you have to do things incrementally. That's the best way to take the bite out of the pressure of trying to do things like large things, but that you procrastinated on.
Now, I want to ask this question because, like I said, the whole premise behind the Urban Wall Street Project is maximizing urban dollar financial literacy. Because for me, everybody in the hood said, everybody in urban America feel like if I just had some money, it would be all right. We all know more money, more problems. But a lot of people say, well, you know what, I'll take those problems because these right here, I'm tired of these type of problems.
Right.
But you still have to be financially literate. And as an educator, I'm sure, and you're educated in whatever realm, whether it's in a classroom or in a boardroom or in an organization. Why is it that financial literacy is just a theory? It's not taught in class, and we're in a capitalist country.
Right.
We understand that financial literacy is the key to wealth and long-term prosperity.
Is very true.
So if you know that is the key, why not put everybody in a position, or at least make it a mandatory course, as opposed to so many courses that are mandatory, whether it's in elementary school, high school, and college, that I've never used. But a financial literacy course, surely in high school or college, would have fared me better. I mean, I'm not mad that I understand it now, but had I learned when I was in college something years ago,
you might have been
I'd been in a much better situation. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
I mean, why do you think there's absence of that in our educational system?
I think that's a part of it, maybe the teachers union and the parents group, but I don't want to cast any blame anywhere. But I will say that it hasn't been taken seriously enough. I mean, there's been a value system there that says that certain things are important, but the reality is finance is important. Because whether you have a love, you don't have to have a love of money, but you have to know that in a capitalistic society, this is what's important: how to manage and how to hold on and how to grow your money. So we're starting to see more charter schools and other institutions start to place the importance of financial literacy in their classrooms, and it's been a wonderful thing to see. I've also gone out with other members of the young professionals and spoke at different high schools to talk to kids about the importance of financial literacy and to put a face onto it and let them know how important it is and give them experience that is just not pockmarked with achievements, but just the realness of a brother who came out of Farragut houses in Brooklyn and strived to do what he could to make it happen, and the example of many others who have done the same thing. But we're starting to see more increases in terms of literacy in terms of schools, but it's still way behind. I mean, way behind for a society like we have right here. It's tremendously falling short.
Right. And just thinking about it, I wonder if, I always say, in the 1900s, the early 1900s, we had the Black Wall Street. And those individuals, our progenitors were extremely smart because we owned it. I mean, it was probably the most prolific era for African Americans in a community, 36 square block, 15,000 people. You probably couldn't find anything that would parallel that same dynamic even now. And I wonder if we were able to do that then, when we didn't have remotely what we have now. How is it? How have we gotten so far from being able to accomplish something with so much less?
Well, a lot of scholars and a lot of people feel that segregation put us back further than it did integration in advancing us, because we stopped relying on ourselves for the services. During that time before segregation, doctors, lawyers,
before segregation or integration?
During segregation.
During segregation,
I should say, before integration came about. Everybody was in the community. Everybody was there. All the professionals. You walked down the street, you had a doctor next to you, you had a lawyer next to you, you had a business owner. Everybody was there in the community for you to see, for children to see, for you to aspire to. Now our communities have become so disparate, you don't really get to see that anymore. And those who normally come up out of the certain neighborhoods choose to move on. And it can be seen as a problem, but you have to understand it for what it is.
Right.
I'll just say this real quickly.
Say it.
Listen, the projects, the ghettos, what we term it as, we are the only ethnic group to actually still be in those environs, because Germans, Jewish, Italians, they all came through those same channels. When the projects were first introduced in the 40s, it was a pristine place to live.
Right.
But we're the only ethnic group that actually celebrates it as a way that we still have to be there. No, it's just a transitional place for you to go out there to further yourself to realizing the American dream, and that which is to be fully ensconced in your community, in your business life, and your social life.
Definitely.
And that is to own a home, or if you chose to rent, but just be in an arena that represents your like interests and so forth like that. So I think that has been an Achilles heel for us as a people, in terms of understanding that it's just a place to pass through. You want to get full engagement in the society, and there's so much to accomplish. One of the things is about traveling. Young people need to be introduced to traveling and understand. You get a whole new perspective from just being around certain different people.
Definitely.
That was one of the things that helped shape me. I came from a single parent home. My mother had very strong influence, and she decided that, listen, I may not be able to give that father figure there, but I'll put him around people who are father figures.
Definitely.
So that changes things dramatically.
That's critical. So now let's real estate. So do you deal now in commercial real estate, residential real estate? Because once you get into real estate, because I have a godbrother who is retired from 20 years in corrections, and he's put himself in a position with their real estate. But he said it's almost gotten addicted, because once you buy one home or one commercial property, you flip one deal, you want to do the next deal. Have you been involved in real estate to the point now that you feel like it's like I have to be doing some form of deals?
Right. Well, yeah, I do feel that. In the aspect that I'm in terms of brokering deals, you do feel that, because each time you get better with it, you start to put more complex deals together. You reach higher amounts, you reach dollar levels, bigger spaces, and you do feel like that, because you're always trying to better yourself. And you also, if you look at your peers and you see what your other peers are doing, you're saying, wow, people are doing some interesting things. So it can be addictive. And it's great to be addictive as long as you do it with moderation and control.
Very true.
So yeah, it can be like that.
So now, recognizing what you do with the New York Urban League, young professionals, and being on the Civics and Civics and Economic Committee, talking to young people, because I realize it's so important that we really get through to them. And then there's two topics, civics and economics, and I'm happy to say, civics probably like about 5 years ago got added to the SATs. It wasn't.
Right.
So it's now.
Yes.
So, and it's amazing because I remember it seemed like we took civics, but it wasn't something that was like mandatory. It wasn't one. It was like like a superlative elective. Like you can.
It was lost in the curriculum for some years. Yeah.
But what is it about those two, I should say, subjects that you think are not as attractive to youth? And then what can we do to get them attracted to those topics when they hear them?
I think the main thing is that it comes down to being, on the economic side, it's just a number system. A lot of people do have a math stigma where they don't feel that's their thing. But if we get students, young people to learn that regardless of what you do in life, math will always be important on the basic level of how to count your money, on the basic level of how to interact daily with your banking institution. It will always be important. So we have to take the stigma out of it and let them know that this applies to your everyday life. And that's actually happening because you have more black entrepreneurs and individuals like yourself who are bringing this to the forefront, and like the Urban League who bring programs like this on a regular, to let people know that this is something that you need to be a part, and it's very serious. So we try to put it in, we all try to put it in different spins and ways that we can affect the children in a way that it catches their eye. You know, one of the things that we do is the National Day of Service. Throughout the 102 affiliates of the Urban League, we have one day of service where it's focused on financial literacy, and it's directed towards the youth. Junior high school kids and that range to high school kids, and it's about teaching them the basics, you know, banking, your credit, all of those things that make a difference when you start to move on, and that they need to learn as they're going on. I mean, you know, when you think about the purchase of sneakers, how do you weigh the purchase of a $150 pair of sneakers with your budget, which might only be $100. So, I mean, do you think about taking on work? I mean, these are things that are critical, but we take for granted, as young people sometimes take for granted, but this is very important and vital to building your economic IQ going on.
No question, no question. And that's important, you know, building your economic IQ. So, on a given, do you do lectures? Do you do lectures to youth in particular?
I've done that before. You know, I do it as an opportunity. I haven't sought that out, and I've always had a good time doing it. And it's a great thing. Yeah, I have no problems with it. Yeah.
What's some of the? What's some of the greatest joys when you sit out? You know, you look at all these young faces. You know, if you ever go to a high school, you're in a high school, and before you come on, you just stop and you just listen to the ambience, and you just hear noise. You hear all these all this energy just everywhere. You hear conversations, things that make sense, things that don't make sense, and then you have to reel them in with talk of financial literacy. Now, of course, because you say who likes money, they all get interested. But if you say financial literacy, they don't get it. But I've realized that people are more in tune with trying to understand and become more financially literate than people might want to give them credit. What is your take on that when you're talking to kids about it? What's their receptivity towards you?
Well, I recent panel I participated on up in Harlem. One of the things that we talked about, we had a former rapper on the stage, and we had a gentleman from a basketball classic, very popular basketball classic here in New York, and we discussed civic engagement and also economics. And one of the ways that, you know, you have your disparate conversations going on, the kids talking, you know, and once you start to bring something like somebody with notoriety, like if you talk about Kobe Bryant, or you talk about you talk about that person just in an instant to bring them in, and then you give them examples of people who are more closer to where they are, like young entrepreneurs who are in the city, who have clothing lines, who have stores. There are a lot of young people who own property. There are a lot of young people who have stores, the barbershops and so forth like that. So we take an entity like that and show them how that becomes a financial engine. Like I often tell people the story of a barber that I grew up with who just retired and was in the business probably 50 some odd years. But he was a barber. People just saw him as a barber. But he was the financial institution in his community. When it came to lending money, when it came to anything financial, people would come to him because of his knowledge and the skills that he professed and shown and gave to younger people was that of how to become financially independent. And he was a barber. And when he retired with assets probably of $8 million.
Amazing.
Real estate investment, investing with banks and stock and so forth like that. But he had a team, which is I talked about earlier. And that just goes to show kids that you don't have to always ascribe to the athlete or the person with the most fame, but there are a lot of people in your communities that just because they don't tell you what their balance sheet is, that they have achieved tremendous amounts of differences in the community. And I mean, you'd be surprised. You peel back the onion, these guys have funded purchases for people to own businesses, to buy property, all because of what they know and what they transferred over to people in their community. And they become a pillar.
Exactly. And it's so great to hear that. And I'm just happy, you know, to had met your colleague, Ms. Althea Kitchens.
Yes. Big shout out to Althea Kitchens.
And definitely, you know, be introduced to what the New York Urban League Young Professionals does. And so I want people to know that if, you know, real quickly, let them know if you're interested in becoming a part of the New York Urban League Young Professionals, you really want to get that direction, 30, 40 seconds, let them know what they can make happen.
Well, I tell you real quick, we have a monthly meeting the third Tuesday of the month, but I'll give you a quick website. You can go to nyul.org, or you can actually reach out to me at ypcivics, CIVICSECON @nyul.org, and I will make sure to get you in the to the right people to actually get you involved and to come out and join us, because we would love to have you, and it's something you should be a part of.
Definitely, definitely. Well, I want to thank you for being a guest.
Thank you for having me.
Brother.
This is a beautiful
For my people
thing.
watching at home, you know, I want you to enjoy it. Become engaged in your community. Civic engagement is very important. Your community cannot be the way you want it to be if you're not civically engaged. You will not see the prosperity and the lack of grief and despair if you're not actively engaged. If it's your block, then take care of your block. If it's your hood, then take care of your hood, because if someone else is taking care of it, guess what? It belongs to them. Like I always say, be mindful, be prosperous, stay peaceful, do the right thing, stay focused. If you want to be down with some positive people, join the New York Urban League Young Professionals. You know the Urban Wall Street Project has a business club. We're doing some things on an international level. Until next time, peace.